is the Volvo EX30. It's Volvo's tiny electric SUV. But don't let that fool you. It's packed with amazing features, Scandinavian design, and buckets of personality. It might be a small car, but it's definitely built for adventure. In this video, I'm going to give you a good tour of the vehicle, show some of its main features, and explain why this might actually be the smartest EV you can buy on the market right now. So we start at the front, and of course the first thing you notice is you've got this really smooth front panel. Of course, not having an air-breathing engine, there's no need for a massive grille up at the front of the car. You do still have ventilation down here at the bottom, but of course it's very minimal because it's only the battery cooling and heat pump that require air to be brought in from the front of the car. You'll also notice these Thor's hammer headlights. Yes, Thor, like the Norse god, designed to look like his hammer in traditional folklore. And these are the new Volvo Pixel LED design. Really cool, and it's a really nice little bit of trivia. You can tell people your car literally has something inspired by the god of thunder. And here we have at the back these stacked LED lights in the rear. Very minimalist, but it screams Volvo Scandinavian design. The badging itself is fairly minimal and quite out of the way. You've got the EX30 badges on the flanks, and you've got a small one just tucked in the corner. If you have the twin motor, you have a little twin motor badge down here, but apart from that, it is designed to be something that you notice from its appearance and know immediately what it is without needing to read the badging. It really is a unique car, but that's what makes it so special. And looking down the side, you'll see some of the genius of the design with the Volvo EX30. So it's fairly short, only 4.25 meters long, but because of the proportions that have been done so beautifully, big wheels, high floor, small overhangs, it really does look like a miniaturized SUV as opposed to just a regular hatchback. And check these out, you've got these flush inserts for the wheels. They're called aero inserts. They're basically designed to give the car as flat a side as possible to avoid drag, and that's what enhances the range of this car up to 295 miles depending on the version. So it's definitely built for long road trips as well as city driving where it's perfect. Now, one of my favourite kind of quirks of the EX30 is this soundbar right here. It probably looks quite familiar if any of you at home have a soundbar in front of your TV. It pretty much is the same thing. Made by Harman Kardon, really good premium sound system, but the fact that it's a sound system that crosses the entire width of the dashboard alleviates the need for speakers in the door areas. So effectively, you can use all of this space down the side for storage, as opposed to having to worry about the wiring for the speakers and of course the actual speakers themselves. You also notice there's no other controls on the door panels themselves, just these really classy door handles. Again, remind me of a really upscale kind of chest of drawers almost. It's a really nice tactile feeling door handle as well. So the actual wing mirror controls are in the central display. Your window controls are right here in the center, nice and easy to access. And then when it comes to the storage capacity of the EX30, it's abundant. So you've already got the door pockets that I've mentioned. You've got additional storage areas in the center. This little flap lifts up, even more storage. You've got USB Type-C sockets in there for plugging stuff in. And you've even got extendable cup holders that pop right out and can be adjusted to just be additional storage if needed. This can be lifted out for cleaning. Again, nice and practical. And one of my favorite features is with, of course, the whole dashboard having to come forward an amount to allow for the size of the car. You wouldn't be able to put the glove box on that side if it was to be usable. So it's actually in the middle. If I press this glove box button right here, there you go, pops right open, and you can see in there plenty of storage for your documents and also, of course, gloves. That's what glove boxes are for. You don't need air conditioning, you don't need this massive 400-litre glove box. It's just good for a little cubby to keep stuff out the way when you don't want it immediately in the interior. So again, really, really good use of space. They definitely maximise the amount of usable room inside the cabin. All right, so driving the EX30, and the first thing you notice is it's nippy. I mean, this is a full-on SUV vehicle, but it really much drives like a proper hot hatchback. So this is the single motor extended range version we've got here, 272 horsepower, which is ample for any size of car. I mean, the XC90 mild hybrid has 250, so as you can imagine, 250 horses, it certainly picks up. But it's not just that. Electric motors give you instant torque response, so you're not there waiting for an engine to spool up for the turbos to gain traction. You are literally foot on the accelerator and it goes like a bullet. Now, another thing that goes along with it being an EV is just the calm and serenity of the driving experience. So the performance is definitely there when you want it to be there. No, you don't have to drive it like, you know, you're pootling along at 20 miles an hour everywhere you go, just trying to conserve range. But when you do dial down on the accelerator and let the car kind of whisk you along. It very much turns into a refined driving experience. The sound dampening in the cabin, even with a big glass roof like this, is excellent. You don't really get much in the way of outside noise, barring a tiny bit of road noise, which is a staple of vehicles. You can't really get around that fact. But the ride as well, it's a small car, but they give the suspension a lot of travel, so the travel allows the car to dampen out the harsher bumps, and it really firms up when you need it to, so you feel confident throwing it into corners, but it doesn't bite your head off when you go over a speed bump or a bump in the road or that kind of thing, which is really, really nice. Now, in terms of safety tech, it's a Volvo, so as you'd expect, it's got the latest and the greatest. So all models of the EX30 come fitted with adaptive cruise control. So effectively that means you can set your cruise control and let the car worry about managing the distance between you and any other vehicles that might be on the road. Both the Plus and Ultra configurations also give you pilot assist. It doesn't quite drive the car for you, but it very much means you can take a more relaxed feel when it comes to those longer journeys. You will let the car worry about what's going on, and you can just rest one hand on the wheel and enjoy the very comfortable ride. So really, from a driving experience, it doesn't matter whether you're in it for just a nice comfortable round town driving car that can do longer journeys, or if you're after an enthusiast experience, the car delivers that for you in spades. It very much caters itself to you, and I've always thought that the best kinds of cars are cars that adapt to the way that you want to drive them, the way you want to live with them. You don't have to make too many concessions when it comes to living with a car of this type. Now, of course, the EX30 has been on the market for quite a while. The reviews really do speak for themselves when it comes to the feedback Volvo have gotten on the EX30. And Volvo aren't a company that rests on their laurels. They very much want to make sure that they're continually adapting and improving the car as time goes on, with new features and improvements to the model as time goes by. But overall, I think they nailed it from the ground up. From the format they chose, a kind of higher stance SUV of a smaller size is perfect for today's roads. You don't have any trouble parking it, you don't have any trouble with visibility. You've got great visibility despite having great big A-pillars for safety. It really is everything that you want a car of this size to be, and it does everything you'd want it to do. And that's something you might not have expected for an SUV, an electric type. It's fun to drive, it behaves itself, and it's got all the quality of life features that you would want with a premium SUV, with it being a Volvo. So really big tick in the driving department, and I'll let you guys measure that for yourselves, but 100% the driving experience really does sell this car as something for the modern roads. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to tell you about this. So this is part of what Volvo refer to as the driver understanding system. So effectively, if you've got an iPhone that has Face ID, it works on very much the same technology. It uses beams of infrared to scan your face, measure the geometry. It learns your face over time as well, and then it can actually detect if you are under the weather. Perhaps you shouldn't be driving the car. If you're tired, it can suggest you take a break. But one of the most handy features, and something that's very easy to get to happen on modern roads, is distractions. So you've got a big central display there. The world is abundant with things that are going on, and it might be very difficult for certain people to keep their eyes on the road. So the car will kindly remind you of that fact. It doesn't shout at you. It just pops up a little alert that says, hey, you've been looking away from the windscreen for a little bit of time. You might want to make sure you're focusing, and it uses that information to detect that maybe you are tired and a break might be worthwhile taking. And the way it does that is it basically measures where your eyes are looking. So there are different types of zone that the car is measuring. You've got green, amber, and red. So the green zone is what you might expect. The windscreen area, looking out dead ahead in front of the car, is a green zone. You can do that as much as you want, and the car doesn't have a problem, as you might expect. Amber zones are your mirrors, so the rear view mirror and the wing mirrors on either side of the car. Obviously, looking at those intermittently is very safe to do, but if you're staring at them for too long, you obviously aren't necessarily paying attention at directly what's ahead of you. And then the final zone is basically everything from the dashboard line downwards. So if you're looking down at this area, the footwells, even the screen for too long, the car will flash up the alert that says, hey, you might want to pay attention to the road ahead. So I think that's a really nice touch, a really good safety feature. They didn't need to put that in the car, but again, Volvo are very much about making the safest cars possible. And whilst it doesn't necessarily interfere with the design of the interior, there's an argument to be made that the interior would look cleaner without that there. But Volvo aren't about compromising safety for the form of their vehicles. And that goes to show as well with the LiDAR on top of the EX90. Again, it's not necessarily something you might choose to put onto a car, but it's definitely something that will benefit people in the long run by saving lives. And that's exactly what happened with the 3-point seatbelt. You know, people kind of laughed at it and said, you don't need more than a lap belt effectively to keep you safe. But Volvo realised that inertia rear seatbelts that stop you from flying out the windscreen or bending in half when you end up in an accident are very much a safe thing to have, and that's why they didn't patent it. So I think Volvo always get the best of both worlds when it comes to design and safety, but there are some aspects that I think that they make sure that they don't necessarily want to cater to everyone's taste. That feature is something that they want you to have to make sure you're safe. So again, really, really good from Volvo's perspective there. So that's the Volvo EX30, stylish, smart, compact and sustainable. Really is one of the best EVs on the market right now. The price is starting at just over £30,000. It's also one of the best value EVs you can get on the market. It's not just an electric SUV, it's a Volvo SUV, and that definitely stands for something. So if you're interested in coming in and having a look, having a drive, or having a chat with us regarding your options, see if it fits into your lifestyle, please do get in touch with us. You can reach us at TMS Volvo Coventry 024 76 303132. Looking forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now.